Hello and happy Valentine's Day. My name is Haley and welcome back to my channel. In the spirit of Valentine's Day and the season of love, I'm going to be talking about something I love, which is cherry fragrances. So I picked out 5 of my absolute favorite cherry fragrances, from designer to niche to affordable and even indie, and I want to talk about these because I think they are all so well done at a variety of different price points. I love cherry fragrances because I feel like the cherry note can be so many things. It can be sexy, it can be evocative, it can be sweet and fresh and fun, and I feel like all of these fragrances really take that cherry note and expand on it and combine it with some really great other fragrance notes to just build out a really delicious, layered, nuanced fragrance, and that is what I really love from a fragrance. I don't like cherry fragrances that smell really medicinal, that smell really cheap, that smell really artificial like cherry candy. I really love when fragrances take that cherry note and do something really special with it, and I feel like all 5 of these fragrances are really special, so I'm excited to talk about them. I love cherry as a fragrance note because I feel like it can be so many things. It can be sexy and mysterious and kind of like a nighttime cherry. It can be also like a youthful, fun daytime cherry, and I feel like these fragrances all take the cherry note in different directions, and I'm excited to talk about them. So first up, I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't mention Tom Ford Lost Cherry. I feel like the hype on this fragrance has kind of died down a little bit, but it is really one of my first and all-time favorite cherry fragrances. I just think it is so delicious and it smells so quality in a time when it was really hard to find a cherry fragrance that had that kind of sophisticated, layered, really just full-bodiedness about it that this one has. This was really just very special, and I still think it really holds up. So not all of these fragrances have notes available on Fragrantica, but when they do, I'll pop them up on the screen. So this fragrance has top notes of bitter almond, black cherry, and cherry liqueur, mid notes of sour cherry, plum, Turkish rose, and jasmine sambac, and base notes of vanilla, tonka bean, cinnamon, Peru balsam, sandalwood, benzoin, cloves, cedar, patchouli, and vetiver. So this is a really delicious fragrance that I feel like is so fun to wear. It's super intoxicating and it can just do a bunch of different things. You can wear it in the winter and it's kind of like a sexy nighttime date night fragrance. The spiciness, I feel like it kind of lends a festive holiday vibe, and you can even wear it in the fall. And it's also a little bit floral in a way that I think even works in the spring and summer. So I do get a little bit of that bitter almond, but I don't think that this is first and foremost just a cherry almond fragrance. I feel like those fruity floral notes really give it a delicateness that rounds out the rest of the fragrance. It's not ultra boozy, although there is a little bit of that cherry liqueur in it. It's not a boozy forward fragrance like a lot of other fruity niche fragrances can be. And at the same time, it's a little bit sweet and spicy from that vanilla, tonka bean, the sandalwood, and patchouli in the base. So I just love how well-rounded this fragrance is. It's so full-bodied. It has so many layers to it. It's not just light and sweet. It can also be like sexy and oozy and all of those good things all at once. So I love this fragrance. I think it's so beautiful. I do know that it's incredibly expensive. I have bought this one during the Sephora VIP sale before. You can also sometimes get it on discounters like Joma Shop. So I do also recommend you buy the smallest possible bottle if you're going to, because you'll save money that way. This is just a 50 ml, so that's one way to experience some of these more expensive fragrances without shelling out $500 for a super large bottle. Yes, this is one of my favorite cherry fragrances, one of my favorite fragrances in general, and for sure one of my favorite Tom Fords. Next up, I have a fragrance that is ultra sexy and just like the vision of a beautiful woman. Freaking love this fragrance. This is Bdk's Rouge Smoking. First of all, the juice on this fragrance is one of the most beautiful that I have ever seen. I absolutely adore this red fragrance. It is just like, a precious liqueur in this beautiful bottle. I am so obsessed with this, just like from an aesthetic perspective. It is incredible. So to me, this fragrance really combines a couple different vibes that I want to talk about. And first of all, it really gives a strong cherry cola vibe. So this fragrance has hop notes of cherry, pink pepper, and bergamot, mid notes of black vanilla husk, heliotrope, and orange blossom, with base notes of tonka bean, cashmere wood, white musk, ambroxan, violet, and labdanum. So to me, the cherry combined with the pink pepper, vanilla, and tonka really give this that sort of cherry cola vibe. So a little bit of the spiciness with the vanilla sweetness. To me, it smells deliciously like an elevated, sort of more sophisticated grown-up cherry cola. And I think that is so fun. It kind of harkens back to kind of like a childhood memory, but it's also combined with this sort of ultra adult sexiness. So to me, Rouge Smoking, this is super evocative. I feel like it's a reference to smoking, which in French is a tuxedo, and specifically to, I'll pop up a picture of it, but YSL's Le Smoking, which is a absolutely iconic image of a beautiful woman in a tuxedo with nothing on underneath. And to me, that is the vibe that this gives. It's like Paris in the 70s, a woman who's smoking a cigarette and drinking a cherry cola at the same time. She's out for the night on the Paris streets. I just feel like this is such an evocative fragrance. It's a little bit sweet, but I wouldn't say it's gourmand. It has that vanilla, but it also is cut through with the pink pepper and a little bit of woodiness. I just think this is so fabulous. It's not so much a cherry forward fragrance so much as it just has cherry kind of woven in throughout the story of the fragrance as a whole. And I just feel like it adds that sort of youthful playfulness and combined with a sexiness of the fragrance overall. And I really love this one. I feel like BDK is so good at sort of weaving this story with their fragrances. If you ever really want to get inspired, the copywriting on their website describing their fragrances is out of this world fantastic, but really love this fragrance. I think it is so fun and sexy for a night out. If you're gonna be in Paris in the winter, New York in the winter, anything like that, and you really love that vibe, like cigarette smoke on the street, things like that, definitely bring this one. So the first two fragrances I spoke about were super expensive designer and niche fragrances, but I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and talk about some more affordable fragrances. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is actually a indie brand fragrance, and this is from the brand Alkemia perfumes. This is called Cherries of Night, and this is absolutely fabulous. So this indie brand really focuses on using classic artwork with their fragrances to again kind of weave a story together of the actual fragrance. So as you can see on the bottle, there is this really beautiful painting. I will insert the image of the actual painting from their website, and they also kind of use in their copywriting some poetry and things like that. So this is from a poem called Cherry Time by Robert Graves, and I just love how they weave together all of these things from the world of culture to kind of weave together this image of this fragrance, and I think that is so cool, inspiring, and awesome. And the description on this one is a very naughty flirtation of black cherries exquisitely bathed in maraschino liqueur, cherry amber, musky black amber, dark spiced rum, warm nutmeg, and Peru balsam. So I talked before about some of the other fragrances not quite being a boozy cherry, but this one definitely is. So if you like an ultra spicy rum based cherry, I would definitely check this one out. The top notes on this one definitely remind me a little bit of Lost Cherry, but I would not say they're a dupe. Well, I think the top cherry notes are quite similar. So if you really like that deliciously realistic maraschino cherry vibe that Lost Cherry has, I would check this one out. But this one dries down into a really spicy rum scent that I think is so delicious. So like I said, if you really like a rum spicy fragrance, I would definitely check this one out. It sort of reminds me of a little bit of like a spiced rum and coke, like Captain Morgan or something like that. Sort of like the dregs, like if you put a maraschino cherry into rum and coke, I feel like that could be this fragrance. I love supporting indie brands like this one, so I was so happy to have picked this one up. This is also less expensive than some of the other designer and niche fragrances. This is $95 for an ounce. So while it's not super cheap, it's still less expensive, and you can also try samples of every single fragrance they have on their website. So like I said, I really like this one. I think it's really complex, layered, and nuanced, and if you really are specifically looking for a really boozy cherry with some of that rum spiciness, I would definitely check this one out. Then next up, and even more affordable, this is a fragrance from Truly Beauty, and this is Cherry Baby. This is seemingly no longer available on the Truly website. I don't know if maybe it's because it has the same name as the Sabrina Carpenter Cherry Baby. I don't know, but it is still available on the Ulta website for $49, and I feel like that's a great price for this fragrance. To me, out of all the fragrances that I'm talking about here, this is the most floral cherry. So if you'd like a lighter and more floral, kind of like a brunch cherry as opposed to a hot dinner date cherry, I would definitely check this one out. So this one has top notes of black cherry and anise, mid notes of jasmine, and base notes of tonka bean and amber. So while I definitely get that lovely base of tonka and amber, the jasmine really comes through and really projected off the skin for me, and that is something that I really loved. I felt like it was such a surprising combination with the cherry, and it really gave this very pretty feminine floral vibe that I feel like is a little bit unique to cherry fragrances. A lot of times they go really spicy with the patchouli, rum, all the things that we've talked about so far, but I really love that this is a lighter, brighter, and sort of breezier take on cherry than some of the other ones that we've talked about. Like I said, I love that this one is very floral focused. It's very pretty, very easy to wear, and I think this one will be perfect for spring. And then last up on the list is the most affordable one of all, and this fragrance is only $25. Yes, that is correct. I feel like this is a steal, and this is Le Monde Gourmand's Cerise Riche, and I've talked about this a lot recently because I love this fragrance. I think it is so great, not just for the price, but just as a cherry fragrance in general. So this fragrance has top notes of black cherry, pear leaf, and bergamot, mid notes of dark chocolate, benzoin, davana, and siam, and base notes of patchouli, cedarwood, and praline. So to me, this is just a yummy, delicious cherry and patchouli fragrance. It does have some sweetness from the praline and dark chocolate, which kind of just round it out and just kind of give it this rich base that I think is so delicious. It really reminds me of a lot of the Tom Ford fragrances. So while I don't think this is a direct dupe of Tom Ford Lost Cherry, and I wouldn't even add it to this video if it was, because I would feel like it'd be redundant, I do feel like this has a lot of similarity to Tom Ford Black Orchid, which is another fragrance that I really love. Both of those have that delicious patchouli and chocolate vibe that just really give it this rounded out dark spiciness, and then combined with the cherry top notes, it is just so delicious. This is just so good, like I said, for the price, but it's such a wonderful fragrance for a date night. For the colder months, I think this would be great for like the Halloween season as well, because I feel like Black Orchid also kind of has this like sexy witchy vibe about it that this definitely does too. So if you're looking for a very sexy, delicious, kind of dark and witchy fragrance that has a little bit of a cherry vibe on top, I would definitely check this one out. So those are my 5 absolute favorite cherry fragrances. If you have other cherry fragrances that you think I should try, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to try them out. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.